Okay, guys, so this is recently Rhonda, and this is part 3 of my Todd story. The reason why this one's going to be all video, obviously, is because it's going to take a great deal of explanation, and unfortunately, if I wrote this all out with the descriptions and everything along that line, it would be probably a short story, and you guys wouldn't read it, so I just wanted to make sure I got this explanation out, and so you guys understood it, and understood kind of the person and the dynamic bullshit that I was dealing with. So, after this point, obviously it's been a couple months, and then I made out with somebody else and he freaked out and whatever. And then something happened along the way that I'm not quite sure about. But he and I started fighting immensely about everything. And trying to make everything serious or whatever. He wanted to, go out with me, be my boyfriend. And I'm like, dude, I told you from the beginning, you're not my type. I don't see me with somebody like you. You are kind of possessive and you're overbearing. And I literally said these words to him, and yes, I still feel bad for it. But I told him he's a clingy bitch, and it's like dating a fucking chick. And if I wanted to date chicks, I would be a lesbian. Cut and dry. So he started being like this needy little weirdo, and I'm just not that girl. I'm not that type. I don't like guys that are needy. I like men that act like men, and I don't know if maybe a feminist is probably going to get mad that I said that, but it's true. I like a guy that's assertive. I like a guy that takes control. I'm not saying that, you have to be a dickhead and, control every situation, but most part, I want a guy that actually acts like a guy. I don't need to be kind of the guy in the relationship. It's weird to me. So that's kind of what it turned into, and we continued to hang out and hook up or whatever, because I did enjoy his company. For the most part, he was a good guy and whatever, but when he was bad, he was terrible. And it took me a while to realize that he was the type of person that would do nice things for you, constantly do nice things. He's left me flowers by my door. He's brought me soup and heating pads and icy hot when I was sick and not feeling good or whatever. He has done a lot of nice things. But the second you tell him you don't want to be with him or whatever, he is literally throwing all that shit in your face. You're like, dude, I never asked you to do that. I never asked you to drive across town to drop me off random shit. I understand you try to do it to be nice, but if you're going to do it to be nice, do it to be nice, and don't throw it in people's faces. That doesn't make sense. It's me doing anyone a favor, and then the second they can't do me a favor, being like, well, I did all this for you. You chose to do it. So yes, and I was grateful for that stuff, but that shit annoys me. You know what I mean? Don't try to guilt trip somebody into doing something just because you've gone out of your way to do nice things for no reason when nobody asked you to do them. That's your own fault. My favorite saying is, if you act like a doormat, do not be upset when you are getting walked on. I've been that doormat before, okay? I know the feeling. I'm not a doormat no longer. So it's kind of one of those things where you need to learn. If you act like a doormat, you're going to get walked on. So a few months have gone by at this point, and he's starting to get serious, and I'm not serious at all. And I'm like, dude, you're bringing down this vibe. I don't even want to hang out with you anymore because you don't know how to act. So we would go out, we'd hang out, we'd have a good time. The second he thought anyone was flirting with me, anyone thought they had a chance to hook up with me, which is fucking stupid, by the way. If you're a guy that does that, fuck you, because that's annoying. Don't ever assume a guy is going to or wants to fuck your chick and then get mad at your chick or anyone that you're hooking up with or whatever. That's annoying. That's not her fault. Good for you that she's pretty, but don't throw that in her face. So he used to do weird shit like that all the time, and him and I used to fight every single couple weeks. Excuse me. So it would be 2 weeks we'd be fighting, 2 weeks we'd be friends, 3 weeks we'd be fighting, 1 week we'd be friends. And this pattern went on and on and on and on forever because he kept saying how he wanted to be in a relationship. And we would get in a fight about it. Dude, I don't want to be in a relationship. I don't want to be in a relationship with you. And I don't want to be in a relationship. That's just not what I'm looking for. So he would get super mad. if I like went out and did my own thing or whatever and didn't invite him where. So he and I fought a lot because he was jealous of my time. Like he was jealous that I was hanging out with Fitzy and Phil all the time. And like when it came down to it, when it was the weekend or my free time, I do what I want with my free time. I am not going to, be made to feel like I need to hang out with somebody just because we're hooking up. Like, if you want to come and hang out and be normal, then cool. But he couldn't do that. So he and I would fight a lot. He would show up to, like, mutual friend's house and cause a scene. Calling me a fat bitch, C word, D word, all sorts of fucking fucked up shit. So, I don't really care. That's kind of like no sweat off my back. The thing that pisses me off is that he chose to do it at mutual friend's house, which makes them obviously utterly uncomfortable, as well as myself. And then he did it to, like, put on a show. Like, it was just weird. So he used to do this shit all the time. So he and I basically, we left it off at he's a needy, clingy bitch and he needs to leave me the fuck alone. But he's just, it never stopped. So we would get in a fight about shit, and I would explain my side of the story, he would explain his, and I'm like, cool. My side of the story never changed. I like hanging out with you. I like that we're friends. I like that we can, do friend things, and then, have that other side to it, which is nice, especially when you're in a town that's very fucking lonely. So I thought it worked perfectly. It didn't work perfectly because I was only looking at it from like a friend, and then I would separate the hooking up or whatever. He couldn't. He took it as a relationship or whatever. So we would have these conversations, and he would be like, yeah, I totally understand your side. And then when it came down to it, he didn't understand my side. Like, he did not understand why I did not want to date him or whatever. So I kind of bugged out on him, and that kind of ended the whole thing. But there's plenty of other crazy things that have happened in between, when I first moved here and even today. I wish I was kidding when I said today, but he's still not over it, and still a freak. And there's plenty more stories to come. I just had to give you the entire background of this kid, but prior to posting anything and trying to explain it via text, because it wouldn't make sense. And even my video rants are all scatterbrained or whatever, just because that's how my brain works. But at least when I'm talking, you can you lose me for a minute and then you find me again. So that's why this is video. There's definitely more to come. It's going to get way more entertaining at my expense, and I hope you guys enjoy it. Subscribe to my blog, recentlyrhonda.blogspot.com. Otherwise, I am going to harass the shit out of you. I'm sick of this. Subscribe.